To acquire more provincial revenues, Mr. Martin has advised returning to a progressive tax, a royalty increase, and an increase in corporate tax. What would the other candidates say about that? Start with Heather.
I think it's very important. Our last budget showed that there was no tax increase, we have no payroll tax, and we have no sales tax. And under Progressive Conservative government, we will not have provincial sales tax. And there's no tax increase, and the budget's laid out for this year and the next 3 years as well. It's really important to note when we begin to the corporate tax structure that we have here in Alberta, the reason why people come to Alberta for jobs and to start companies is because of the setup here. And we know there are so many businesses that are thriving and flourishing here in Alberta because of the tax structure, the regulations, and those things, and those companies provide jobs for Albertans. We know in the economy, the world recession in 2008, some of those companies had some tough times. So when government was able to keep the building infrastructure, the roads, the hospitals, the schools, those persons were employed. So when you look at the corporation and making sure those jobs are continuing increased, that's where we stand on that position.
The Wild Rose pledge is that there will be no new taxes and no increases in existing taxes over the term. We certainly believe there's enough money in the system to fund our programs, and we experimented in Alberta not long ago with what happens when you monkey around with royalties and the exodus of industry from the province into neighboring provinces, BC and Saskatchewan. Industry, like Heather said, we're blessed here in Alberta because of our low tax rates. On the personal side, you all, or everybody pays progressive taxes to the federal government, so it's not like somebody that makes more doesn't pay more. You do pay a higher percentage. It's just on the provincial side that and you still pay more taxes in the finance. 10 cents of every extra dollar you make goes to the government, the provincial government, plus more to the federal government. We pay lots of taxes here, so.
Gee, I'm going to disagree. I might point out to my colleagues that the reason people come here is because oil is here and oil sands. It's not because of the brilliance of our taxation system. Where else are they going to go? And the reality is if we don't collect that money, we've seen it before with Ralph Klein. All of a sudden we were broke. We had major cuts in all the needed services that people had. So you collect the fair share, and what we're talking about is not overly taxing them. In fact, we're even talking about lowering the small business rate by 2% for small business, and they're the ones that create most of the jobs. It's not these major corporations. And of course oil companies don't like it if you raise the royalties, and they're going to try to play blackmail. But where else are they going to go down the way? Well, they'll go to Saskatchewan for a while. Is that the oil sand's going to dry up if we don't push it all out right away? We can't put up with this blackmail any longer. We have to get our fair share for the royalties that we own. We have to bring our corporate taxes back to what the rest of Canada is paying, and the flat tax is an abomination only in Canada. That's money that we need down the way.
We have to pay our own way. I mean, it's convenient that we have such a great, wealthy resource in the oil sands, and we have a sustainability fund, so that when the Stelmach government started, with a surplus, $2.2 billion surplus, but then when he left office, it was a $1.3 million deficit. So then they turned to the sustainability fund to make up the difference. But we have to start relying less on that oil resource money, put that money into investment funds, like Heritage Trust Fund, which is actually in value, when you figure in inflation, is less value today than it was when it first began in 1976. We have to put our investment from oil resources into other kinds of funds and start paying our own way. So that means looking seriously at taxes. And so a Liberal platform is saying, okay, we should bring back a progressive tax. Let's end this flat tax and have a progressive tax, and the increase should affect people who make more than $100,000 a year, and it goes up gradually. And we should raise corporate income tax on large businesses from 10% to 12%. I'm not talking about small businesses, but large corporations.
Well, it's true we do have the lowest tax, we are the lowest tax jurisdiction in the country, which is pretty great. But the fact is that we could actually raise taxes a little bit and still be the lowest tax jurisdiction in the country. So we do have some room to play there. I think I agree with Ray that it is small businesses that actually are the backbone of our economy, and the Alberta Party would see a 0% tax rate for small businesses for the first 3 years, because we know that most businesses fail in those first 3 years, so let's give them a start so they can get going. I also agree with Bruce that we need to put some more money into our Heritage Trust Fund. We should be saving some of our oil and gas revenues. Those are not just revenues to pay for the groceries today. They are a one-time blessing for all generations, including the future generations. So we should be saving some of that revenue. But the Alberta Party doesn't say that we know the answer, whether it's a progressive sales tax or whether it's just a sales tax or a consumption tax. We don't know. We want to have a conversation with Albertans about what are the services you expect your government to provide, how much do those services cost, and how would you like to pay for them. So the biggest difference between us and the other parties is that we feel there's a consultation process that needs to happen with Albertans, an open and honest dialogue about our financial situation, and that collectively we can make that decision.